Good morning. So, the third thing we're going to see that the Israelites forgot about in their vows in the absence of Nehemiah was they forgot about their vow of protecting the Sabbath day. So, let's start in Nehemiah 13, chapter 13, verse 15. It said, "At that time I saw the people in Judah treading wine presses on the Sabbath. They were also bringing in stores of grain and loading them on donkeys along with wine, grapes, and figs. All kinds of goods were being brought to Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So I warned them against selling food on that day. The Tyrians lived there, were importing fish and all kinds of merchandise and selling them on the Sabbath to the people of Judah and Jerusalem." So let's stop there and see that the first thing is when he had to correct the people of Israel here, he said first he warned them. And he warned them because they were breaking the law and they were breaking their vow that they had made publicly to honor the Sabbath day. He continues in verse 17, "I rebuked the nobles of Judah and said to them, 'What is this evil you are doing, profaning the Sabbath day? Didn't your ancestors do the same, so that our God brought all this disaster on us and on this city? And now you are rekindling his anger against Israel by profaning the Sabbath.'" So here, after his initial warning, he says he rebuked the nobles of Judah. So he warned the people and rebuked the leaders. I think that's an important leadership lesson. Warn the general people if they're going astray. Pull your leaders aside and rebuke them strongly. They have more responsibility than the general public. But also we see here that the people of Israel are being punished. And he's saying, look, y'all disobeyed the Sabbath before and God brought judgment and calamity on us. And I think there might be something to that. You can't point at this and say, definitely coronavirus is because of us not honoring the Sabbath day or us wandering away from God. But I think you also can't just look at it and say, well, it's definitely not because we've wandered away from God. I think we have to look at the fact that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And we have to ask ourselves, have we wandered from God? And maybe we're experiencing the consequences of that. I think it's safe to say, let's look introspectively and say, have I wandered from God? And could this be in response to me and my sin? We're going to look a little deeper in that in the next section here. It said, "When shadows began to fall on the city gates of Jerusalem just before the Sabbath, I gave orders that the city gates be closed and not opened until after the Sabbath, rather. I posted some of my men at the gates so that no goods could enter during the Sabbath. Once or twice the merchants and those who sell all kinds of goods camped outside Jerusalem, but I warned them, 'Why are you camping in front of the wall? If you do it again, I'll use force against you.' After that, they did not come again on the Sabbath. Then I instructed the Levites to purify themselves and guard the city gates in order to keep the Sabbath day holy." So the last part, so kind of this three-part approach, is he warns the general public, he rebukes the leadership, and then he is forceful with the people causing the error. He's forceful with the people coming to the city gates and camping on the Sabbath, trying to get in to sell the stuff, the merchants to sell stuff to the Israelites, causing them to sin against the Sabbath. So that's the three-pronged leadership approach. But also we see here that when he is forceful, we can see this as representative of how we should face our own sin. You see, he had to be forceful in the protection, because it's not like overnight everyone abandoned the Sabbath day. No, it's this slow and steady turning away from God, this drifting into deeper and deeper into sin for the people of Israel. And sometimes it's a small correction, but sometimes you have to be forceful and post guards outside, and you have to be diligent in your fighting of the sin. So, like I said before, we can't say coronavirus is because of America turning its back on God. But I think what we can say is in my life have I wandered? Have I drifted away from God? And what actions do I need to take in my life to post guards out front and be forceful with the things causing the sin in my life? Be radical in your war against the sin in your own life. That's the takeaway. And that's contagious. If we start doing it in our own lives and it catches on and it spreads to our church community and it spreads to your family members, and then maybe it spreads to the broader church and to America, and we see a turning around. We see things get better. But for today, let's inspect ourselves. Let's use force against our own sin, and the Lord be with you today.